Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today on a football Sunday where the Raiders plane was delayed heading to New Orleans by like 9 hours. A day in which the Giants won and the Jags and Titans were playing each other. The Raiders were in prime position to move up in draft order. So, of course, Aiden O'Connell goes 30 of 40 for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Amir Abdullah has literally the best game of his 10-year career. Daniel Carlson goes 4 for 4, including a 54-yarder. Brock Bowers rewrites the history books. The Raiders are +2 in the turnover margin, go 10 and 17 on third down. The Saints don't convert a third down until garbage time, and the Raiders crush the Saints 25-10, dropping to number 8th in the draft order. Very Raiders, Soto. Very Raiders of the Raiders to start raidering today.
Yeah, I think maybe they should like show up at 1 a.m. the day of the game every time.
Can we pay off someone at a Legionnaire to like throw a wrench into every plane engine from here on out in every road game?
I
Shit,
mean,
man, that's the most complete game they played all season.
the guys at the airport. I mean, they tried. They're like, oh, this plane can't go.
The pilot got the memo. The pilot's like, okay, let's try to ruin this. Let's make sure the Raiders are like blurry-eyed and tired. Let's move up that draft order. No one else got the memo. Raiders played lights out today. Both sides of the ball.
They played really well. The first quarter was a little iffy, but after that, look, basically the Saints wanted it more. Okay,
Yeah.
The Saints wanted the loss a hell of a lot more. They played pretty poorly in a lot of respects, and we do have some talented players on this team, and a lot of these players are players that we wouldn't have seen if we didn't have the injuries. And there's quite a few. I mean, Polamalu he's a star, dude. This dude's a star. He had, like Rory said, or I've been tooting my horn about this guy because I saw him play every snap in college, and I knew him and Mafunga were savages. They were in the same freaking secondary together at USC. And watching him play in college and how he didn't get a chance to play in the pros, just a sniper on special teams. Him getting a chance to play regularly, and he didn't get regular playing time until what, like week 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or week 4, I guess. So he's like the third leading tackler on the team, and he didn't really play the first 3-4 games. So I mean, he's a good player. Like Chason's out there doing his thing. We each saw Snowden make a different play that shows a different part of his skill set. I saw him, line up at D end and take away the first read on a like a 5-yard out, just kind of like go out there and from an end position, go out there and cover that. And you saw him just take on 2 tacklers and make a runner bounce to the outside. He wouldn't have gotten a play. He was in the practice squad. If we didn't get guys hurt, he wouldn't be playing. Abdullah. There's a lot of younger guys on the team too, and yeah, you like that, buddy? Sure. Would I wanted to have the better draft position? Yeah.
I like how when your cat talks, you look down and talk to your pussy.
No, he's right here. Oh, buddy. And let's not. I said it last week. Don't fall in love with a quarterback just because he's new out of college. There's other guys going to be available that may be a little bit rated a little higher. We might have to pay a little bit more for them, but if they're a better player, they're a better player. And yeah, I mean, it's not awful news that we won today. I understand that a lot of guys want to have the first pick because they want their first pick of a quarterback, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And we'll get more into the the ramifications of this game.
Well, the story of the day is Brock Bowers, and just what a godsend blessing he was, rewriting the record book today. Passed up Mike Ditka for most yards and receptions for a Rookie tight ends passed up Darren Waller for most yards and most receptions in a season for the Raiders. There's still a couple other like NFL records within striking distance. Again, still one more game. I really want him to get Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know with Jaden Daniels, it might be impossible, and it's basically a quarterback award these days, but that would mean so much for him to be the very first tight end to ever do it, doing it with 2 different offensive coordinators, 3 different quarterbacks. He's basically the only real target passing. I mean, Jacoby Myers had a decent day too. To be able to do that with this, I think is like something that this team wants to be able to hold their hat on forever.
For sure, man. This dude is special. And I think I made a video of Brock Bowers before the season started. And it was the Hard Knocks of the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And they were sitting there, and it was Shane, right? What's the dude's name? The GM of the Giants. Well, him and Daboll were in
Mora or whatever.
No. That's
the GM. Oh, the GM. I don't know. He's not gonna get along.
That dude, he's a nice guy, good guy.
Good guy.
They were talking about the 2 guys that were a problem for Nick Saban. Daboll worked under Nick Saban for quite some time in Alabama, and Saban, without hesitation, said Malik Neighbors and Brock Bowers. Those 2 guys are a legit problem for him, regardless of how many players he had and how good they were. The dude was just a problem. So, I mean, he's, again, we didn't trade up and get a quarterback, but I mean, we probably got the best player in the draft. And if Brock Bowers gets, what is it, 9 he has 108, right?
Yep.
So he needs 117 to break the tight end record overall. If he gets 9 catches next week, he'll not only be, the most yards as a rookie, the most catches as a rookie, the most catches as a tight end, all those on all the
yards of all the above.
He'll have all those and all those Raiders records. If he does that, he will win the Offensive Rookie of the Year, because as good as Jaden Daniels is playing, he's not breaking records.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Bowers, with what he has had to play with, is breaking records.
I mean, I think he's going to have to do all those things that you talked about. I think Jaden needs to end the year shitty. Even then, I don't know. It's basically a quarterback award. You know how the NFL is. It's like quarterbacks above everything. Like, I love your optimism, predicting like if he shatters all that records, he'll get it. Like, God, I hope you're right. But it's just such a fucking quarterback league that I think even like beating Puka Nakua's rookie receptions, tight end, like you mean like every version of what he is, he's the best of it. Not just rookie, not just position, just everything. Even then, I'm like, fuck, they're gonna want to give it to Jaden. I just know it. It hurts me. I also can't help but think if the Raiders were actually any good, like if they're in the playoffs, if he would have had a shot at it, Same like Joe Burrow is clearly the best player in football today, but he's not going to win the MVP award because the Bengals, it's basically just him and one wide receiver, right? So it's like,
dude, that freaking game against the Broncos, goddamn,
dude. That's what I'm saying all the time, man, about quarterbacks. It's like you have to have everything around them to make a good quarterback look good, or you need like Joe Burrow, or you have to have like one of 2.
Well, let's not discount Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow had, he had Mixon at running back. The only thing he didn't have was an offensive line. He had the best receiving core in the NFL.
In defense.
Well, no, his defense was like one of the top defenses in the league in turnovers.
Oh, you're talking the Super Bowl year. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. He had some things going for him. But this year, he's got nothing. He's just kind of him and a receiver just doing it single-handedly. You get my point. Is even if we get a good, we get Shador or Cam, let's say. We don't have a system set up for him. If we don't have a good offensive coordinator, quarterback, coach, line, it's not going to matter. So
I just find it really hard to believe that Papa Tom Brady is going to allow that to happen. I find it knowing what he knows about how important it is for him as a rookie coming in and having a good system and good coaching and just a sound system for him to walk into and learn. I just find it really hard to believe that he's not going to have that set up for the next one. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think he's going to walk into that Raiders organization, and when he starts like turning over rocks, I think he's going to see how dysfunctional it is. That like something we've known for 20 years. He's going to start like looking at how dysfunctional it is. And I just don't know if it's a one off season fix, everything that's wrong with the Raiders. And not just personnel, not just coaches, but just how it's run from the front office up, from the highest floor of the building to the lowest floor of the building. It's just not run well. And I think that's, I don't know if that's a one off season fix. Now it can start like, you can start going in the right direction. Depending on who the head coach is, some of that's just like a complete culture changer. Everyone just like gets in line and starts saluting. And this is all, of course, if that's what Tom Brady wants to do. If he really wants to spend his time instead of banging Instagram models and flying to Fiji, really like grinding in an office in Las Vegas, like, that's still not a for sure thing.
I think the directly affecting on-field decisions can turn around in one season. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the organizational stuff for like long-term stability, maybe not, but it's, long-term for a reason, right? So you have time to fix that and not have that seep into, because Brady would be there and he's new and like just kind of like AP last year, a new guy, more excitement in the organization, stuff like that. You get, it could very well be, Turner and Turner coming back as offensive coordinators and putting their system in specifically, not running someone else's system and kind of like just dressing it up a little bit. It could be them. It could very well still be AP. Who knows about Patrick Graham? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it could very well still be them. And I don't know that personally I would do that, especially at head coach, but it's definitely not going to be a decision that's going to be made, just because they're already in the building. Oh, well, he's already here. Let's just, for continuity's sake. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to leave that in their hands. Whoever's making the decision, I'm going to leave it in their hands. As far as on the field goes, I am extremely encouraged by what I saw from a lot of our younger players that weren't really looked at as players to be counted on in the beginning of the year. But DJ Glaze had an amazing game today. Mm-hmm. He had a killer game today. I mean, watch it back if you can and just focus on him. He had a really nice game today, both run blocking and pass blocking. I think the combo of Andre James at center and Jackson Powers Johnson at guard is better than Jackson Powers Johnson at center and Meredith at guard. It showed in the running attack the last couple of weeks. So I'm not saying in the future we should stick with Andre James. I think Jackson Powers Johnson would be a better center, and we can upgrade, get someone maybe in the draft or upgrade in the free agency at the other guard position, or maybe both guard positions, who knows? But I think the tackles are pretty much set. I think we're pretty good there. We talked about the defensive ends that played really well. Some of the guys in the secondary. Richardson played really well today. We had what's his face with the interception. What the fuck is his name? Harper. Mm-hmm. We picked up from the scrap heap with an interception. Polo Mao showing out again. So there's pieces on this team that when our starters come back, we're going to have a lot more than we thought. And it's really difficult to kind of gauge a team like this because they're missing so much right now. They're missing so much that's going to be here. Plus, a lot of these guys are free agents, and we have to sign them all back, right? So it could turn around quickly. Hell, in the NFL, a window of opportunity closes quickly, but they also open quickly too.
Well, you look at the biggest contributors to us losing and things that could turn around quick next season is the turnovers for one. We don't have to have the worst turnover margin in football next season, right? Like that was, a big part part of that was Gardner. A big part of that was just bad luck. Fumble recoveries. We didn't have a fumble recovery until was it week 15, which is insane. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened before. That's completely bonkers. And fumble recoveries are pretty much luck. They basically are. Like, there's no team that's like consistently over the course of like 4 or 5 seasons really good on fumble recoveries. So that average will regress to the mean. And that's the number one indicator of wins and losses. Is there's not a single stat that's a closer indicator of wins and losses than turnover margin, and we were the worst in football. So that could turn around. All that young guys you mentioned, that's at worst a lot of great depth. All those guys you mentioned, right? I'm sure there'll be a few starters, but at worst we've got really young, cheap depth, and that's always been an issue it's been an issue for the Raiders for the last 10 years. Depth has always been a major problem because it's been terrible at drafting. So those things can turn around pretty quick. Antonio Pierce, let's talk him. I would say his best coached game of the season. There wasn't a single like face palm. What are you doing? He did miss that challenge on that third down spot, but I thought that was a good challenge.
I thought he got it.
I thought he got it too. I'm like, the refs didn't agree, and he's now 2-7 on challenges of the over the season. He's not good, but that was the only like coaching error, and I thought he should have made that challenge. So not so much he did anything overly brilliant, but he didn't fuck up, which is, I think, first game of 8.
He kind of fucked up in the first quarter after the Jacoby Myers bobbled catch. They called the catch. Mm-hmm. They didn't run up the line quickly and run another play. They just kind of like dilly-dallied around until the officials, called a review. They should have been up right on the ball and called the play.
That should have been to Trey Tucker too. Trey Tucker was wide open on like the 5-yard line, and if he was hitting stride, that would have been a touchdown. That was one of just a small handful of fuck ups by Farva. He had a good game. 20-35, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles. ESPN saying he only took 1 sack. I thought he had more than that. You only have 1? You only get sacked once?
Who?
O'Connell.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably his best statistical game. He left a couple plays on the field. That one for 1. There was a couple others missed. That sack was running around.
Yeah, but we can't expect him to make those plays. That's just not who he is. He's not that kind of playmaker. He plays within the system, and if he doesn't get the time to go through his reads, he's just not going to get that guy. What he didn't do is turn the ball over. What he didn't do is have big negative plays, which is what AP has been preaching for the entire season. We forced 2 fumbles, and we got 2 picks. So the Saints recovered their fumbles, but we were still, things are starting to turn around, and not with a lot of the players that I think a lot of us had anticipated that we were going to rely on.
This was the race to see who was the worst fumble recovery team in football, because the Raiders and Saints were tied at 3 for fumble recoveries, and the Raiders are clearly the worst because the Saints picked up 2 and Raiders got none. So we found out who's the worst fumble recovery team in football. It's official. It's the Raiders. Congrats, guys. Real quick on Farva, that awesome scramble and throw to Bowers to break the Ditka record. That was not Farva-ish. That wasn't Farva-ish at all, and he did a great one there. That dime to Jacoby on that last drive of the first half was beautiful. So he left a couple plays in the field, gave us a couple awesome plays. But I think this is the Farva that we want for the next 10 years as backup/bridge quarterback. It's don't turn the ball over, hit us a couple great plays. We're not going to ask you to do anything with your feet. Sometimes you can, but we definitely don't want you to. I think this is a 8.5 out of 10 version of Farva that I think we can expect for a long time.
Yeah, this is about as good as he's going to play. This is about his top out.
Chiefs game and this game, I think Chiefs game he was better against a better defense, but this was his second best game this season at least, probably even last season.
Yeah, it's a really. You can't count that freaking Chargers game, dude. People always want to say, "Oh, what about the Chargers?" Dude, just stop. Chargers didn't.
That was a total team thumping, and the Chargers not wanting to be there.
The team didn't want to.
That was a team circle jerk. That wasn't a Farva putting 63 on his shoulders.
Cookie on the cookie type thing over there. Wait a second, what's going on over here? Hang on, where was that? Alex Fitzgerald
I'm telling you.
Jr., you distinguished gentleman.
I'm telling you,
I'm
I
gonna go
see
with Bad
Santa.
Santa for Halloween, maybe.
I see Santa. The
Get black,
mustache, like
get blacked out
this
drunk and
part.
start butt fucking some fat chicks. We ain't gonna shit right for a week. Dude,
You gotta get a
as
little
bad as
person.
Bad Santa 1 was, Bad Santa 2 was way worse.
The role Billy Bob Thornton was meant to play.
So good.
So good. All right, let's get into what else? What else? Foster Moreau. It was nice to see him. Have a touchdown. He got the memo. I saw that my timeline popped up a little bit. He's like, "Oh, once a Raider, always a Raider." Foster Moreau putting the Saints ahead, giving the Raiders a chance to move up the draft.
And Morrow showed who he was in this game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice touchdown catch, some good blocking, a lot of penalties, couple of drops.
Wild man.
It's he's that guy. He's that guy.
Robert Spillane needs to be a Pro Bowler. I mean,
He's got to be, dude. He's got to be. This guy's freaking amazing.
We've seen it. We've seen it all season. It was awesome seeing Mark Sanchez pointed out when Spillane. It's always weird dropping an interception because you're making a good play. Like Spillane knocked what would have been a first down pass away. Great play, but he clearly dropped a pick. So it's a very weird, like you're pissed you dropped it, but you still made a play. Like he's literally getting off. He got the defense off the field. Like he's walking off the field on fourth down for a great play he made, but he's pissed because he dropped it. What does he do next series? He goes pass breakup, sack on third down, right in the next series. Like that's so Spillane. Like he made a good play, but not good enough. And he makes up for his good but not good enough play by completely taking over the next drive with a pass breakup and a 10-yard sack in back-to-back plays.
I mean, I'm not going to come down on him too hard. If you've seen the tape job on those gloves that he wears,
yeah,
he basically has catcher's mitts on his hands.
Yeah,
but he had a great game, man. He had 8 tackles, a sack. He had 2 tackles for loss. He knocked down 2 passes. I mean, yeah, he had a great play, man. He had a great game.
Led the team in tackles with 8. Amir Abdullah, happy to see him do well. Best game of his career. If we were running like this, man, all season, we were texting about this, you, me, and Rory. We're like, all right, the interception, if like the turnovers weren't the way they were, what would this season be like? And if we were able to run the way Amir ran today all season, 20 carries, 115 yards, 5.8 yards per carry. And not like, and only 17 yards was his longest. It wasn't like he had like he broke a 65-yarder.
Major yards after contact.
It wasn't like it was like a 65-yarder that upped his average. He got lucky once. Like he was consistent, man. Like we were 3rd and short. That's a big reason why we're like 10 and 17 on 3rd down, because we were like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, because we were able to run the football. And it wasn't even like you mentioned, the yards after contact. It wasn't even like the O-line was playing like pass or run blocking so much better. Like, oh, they figured it out. It was more and more power, a little less zone. And Amir Abdullah just ran his lights out.
It's a lot of things happening at the same time. You have a more experienced center calling out blocking scheme at the line of scrimmage. Andre James has been a center a lot longer, and you have Jackson Powers Johnson on the left side next to a healthier Colton Miller than in the beginning of the year. So you have that dynamic on the left side, which I think they were running to quite a bit. So there's a few things. Plus, you have the Turner and the Booth, relying a little bit more on the power run game as opposed to more of like a gap. So it's a lot of things are coming into play right now that are kind of taking a little bit more shape. I see the run game as a lot closer than it was to end the season last season with how the team is playing and just how it's being called. So there's quite a few things that are I mean, really different. Jackson Powers Johnson didn't start off. He was on the right side to begin the year. Colton Miller was still, a little iffy with his shoulder and stuff like that. So a lot of things fell into place. And, I mean, we didn't have an Amir Abdullah who was basically running every run like a punt return,
Mm-hmm. Brock Bowers, I would say his run, Chase Young destroyed him on one play. His run blocking is still, I think, the biggest thing he'll need to work on this offseason. Obviously, his separation. And also, like, his yards after catch isn't quite what I think he's, like, touted up to be. It's just he gets so much separation that he's already getting another, like, 4 yards until someone's there just because he's just separated. Like, his yards after catch aren't crazy. That was a big part of his game in college. So work on that a little bit, work on his blocking a lot. But other than that, man, like, such a goddamn gem. I will say this, though. I was debating if I wanted to be a negative Nancy or not. But this is something that always irks me, especially with, like, Jerry Rice records and some other passing records from good quarterbacks like the 80s and 90s. And so to be consistent, to have me not be a total homer, I do need to point out, when Brock Bowers beat Mike Ditka's record, Mike Ditka had 1,076 yards in 14 games. Brock Bowers has 1,144 yards in 16 games. Mike Ditka averaged 76.8 yards per game. Brock's averaged 71.5. So I do this all the time with everybody, and even though he's on our team and we're super fucking jacked that we've got Brock and definitely the highlight of the season, let's call a spade a spade. Ditka's season 60 years ago was better than Brock's. Now, I will say this. If Brock can get like 200 yards receiving or something against the Chargers, then he'll have a higher average than Ditka, and then it's the better season. But every time we talk about records that are broken, we have to acknowledge it's 3 more games than they had back, or, sometimes 1, sometimes 3, sometimes more than the previous players. Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, I mean, it's never going to be apples to apples, but it is what it is, man. Taking it from him.
And you guys are right. Like, Brock's doing it with 2 different offensive coordinators, bad quarterbacks, the worst run game in football. It isn't hyperbole. It's a fact. Don't let today fool you. So, again, not apples to oranges. Just here are all the facts, and you guys take with them what you would like. So around the NFL, I opened with this show, but we've got a bunch of new viewers now. Giants beat the Colts, which was great for us. Titans played the Jags, so obviously, best case scenario, they tie, but one of them's going to lose. The Jets lost; they got destroyed by the Bills. The Panthers got destroyed by the Bucks. We started the day 5th, and with the loss, we would have been probably third or 4th. We have now dropped to 8th, according to Tankathon. Some other places have us at 9. It'll be figured out, after next week, obviously. But Tankathon has us at 8th.
3rd. Yeah.
Would have been 3-13, and strength of schedule 546. Yeah.
Come on, put your Dewey Decimal System.
Doing mathing hard. So it was I really wonder after, I know bowl games often get over analyzed, or especially quarterbacks when it comes to the draft. Shedeur and Cam, I don't know if anyone watched their games yesterday. They had 2 of the weirdest games. So Cam Ward shot the fucking lights out in the first half of his bowl game and then sat the second half. Healthy. He's just like, all right, I'm done. Which I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Like, obviously, guys sit out bowl games. Like, I don't want to get hurt. Don't want to ruin my draft stock. Love you guys. I'm sitting out for a meaningless bowl. Or, or they play the whole thing. Ward just played half a game and then sat. That's so weird. Like, I don't feel like that's getting enough super weirdness attention. I'm blown away by that. You're like, I'm going to risk getting hurt for 2 quarters, but I'm not going to risk getting hurt for another 2. Like, in a close, exciting bowl game, the only football game on that everyone's watching, and you're going to spend the 3rd and 4th quarters sitting on the sidelines? That's so weird.
I'm all right with it. I get it.
I don't. If you're worried about getting hurt, don't play the game.
He played really. There was nothing left for him to prove on that stage.
There's nothing left for him to prove in the bowl game at all. So
That's
it's like
not necessarily true.
That's like
He
half.
he has the stage. I don't think he's been in a primetime type game like that all season. He has the stage. He went out there. He balled out for the half. All right, cool. I'm good with it. If he wants to sit out the rest of the game, that's fine.
I think scouts are going to look at that as like, that's really weird. I don't think that helps him sitting out the half.
I mean, it helps him because he didn't get hurt.
Then, like,
Because
why suit up
the
at
narrative
all?
would have
Like,
been much different had he gotten hurt with nothing left to prove.
then
He was tempting
don't play
fate
the game.
anyway by playing in the game, but he wanted to play in the game. He played. He balled out for the time he was in. Okay, I'm good.
We're gonna disagree on this. I think it's just super weird, especially like your teammates are like, we're in a neck and neck game, and you're gonna.
I think you
suit up
understand
and
why he
not.
did it. I just don't think you agree with it, which is different from not understanding why he did it.
I don't understand playing just one half. If you're gonna risk injury, finish the game.
That's like saying, like, if you're going to play Russian roulette, you should go 5 times in a row.
No,
Yes, that's
Because-
exactly what you're saying.
because it's sequentially higher risk the longer you're in.
Same
Like,
as
your
with
chances
football.
of
The
injury.
more plays, the more chance you are to get hurt.
But you're not more likely to get hurt in the fourth quarter than the first. You know what I'm saying?
But the
Like,
more
you could have
plays,
played.
the more plays you play, the more likely you are to get hurt.
He could have played in the first and third quarter, or
Well,
second
hang
and
on.
fourth.
The more
or
plays
third
you
and fourth.
play, the more likely you are to get hurt.
Then he was tempting fate by playing it all.
And why tempt it even more when you balled out and you didn't? You're healthy. Why tempt it even more?
Because now you look like a guy that's gonna like.
Now you're going into
Betray your-
opinion and not fact.
It is a fact. You look. It's weird.
No. Now you're
It is
going into
weird.
opinion how he's going to look. No, the fact is he didn't have anything else to prove, and the more plays you play, the more apt you are to get hurt. So just let a sleeping dog lie, move on, and sail away into the sunset.
I'd love to hear what scouts and GMs think of this. I'd be very curious because it's just so weird, so weird.
He balled out, then dropped the mic.
Shima86, thank you so much for the super chat. Bring back Diablo, Kuntz, Spillane, Palomao. Keep Hobbs and Merrick, question mark. PG gone, question mark. So Palomalo's still on his rookie deal, right?
He's undrafted. He's done.
He's a 1-year deal? Okay.
No, he was undrafted. I think he only has 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, Spillane last, Kuntz last, Diablo last. So we'll start at the end and work our way. So yeah, for sure the first 4. I can't imagine. So the Kuntz injury, considering how bad the season went, the Kuntz injury might actually help us because he was going to be hard to keep. So it's going to be a lot cheaper now to keep Kuntz coming off that injury. Spillane, we're going to have to pay no matter what, and I think he wants to be a Raider. Hopefully that won't get too expensive. Paul Mao, I think, is still our secret a little bit compared to other really good safeties.
Oh no, dude. I don't think anymore.
Well, I don't think people are going to be offering him, $13 million a year type of thing. You know what I mean? I think he's still
I think he's
a
still
little quiet.
affordable.
And also, like, you never escape your draft. If you're undrafted, it is so, no matter how good you play, it is so rare for teams to be like, oh, I'm going to commit to this guy. It like almost never happens. So him being undrafted helps a lot. Hobbs and Merrick keep. Hobbs's injury history, I think, will keep him cheap.
Merrick over Hobbs. If you had to pick one or the other.
Well, I think Merrick's better than Hobbs, but I think Merrick's going to be, of all these guys, other than Spillane, I think he'll be the priciest because he's got he momentumly got better and better and better. Doesn't have the injury history of Kuntz. He was drafted he was a second rounder, unlike Palomao. I think Hobbs's injury history will keep him cheaper. So I think that helps keep Hobbs. But Merrick won't be cheap. Merrick, we're going to have to pay. He's a second-round pick. He got better and better every season.
Dude, keeping that secondary, those safeties, because Merrick can cover slot guys because he's been doing that. Dude, they're just.
I think he'll be
There's a lot of reason for optimism, man. There's a lot of reason for optimism, for sure.
I think he'll be the hardest one to keep. I'm saying we make the effort. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm saying that's a lot of free agents, If you sign a
Dude,
free agent
if
quarterback,
Kuz
that's going
comes
to be a
back
huge
and
chunk.
you have like Chason and Snowden who can play an end outside linebacker style guy.
Can Tyree finally make that jump? You
Tyree's
say that
actually
every
playing a
season.
lot better now. You get Wilkins back. You get Maxx back if he wants to stick around. Even if he doesn't want to stick around, that's still a pretty nice defensive line. If Maxx is there, that's an amazing defensive line. Yeah.
So the Patrick Graham question mark, Shima 86 has been reading everything. There was a report. Sports was it NFL.com? I want to give credit to the reporter, one of the big name guys. And he was basically just like, "Oh, here's the latest in the coaching carousel." He didn't say anything about the Raiders coaching situation we didn't know about. Is Antonio Pierce going to stay? Mark Davis said this at the owners' meeting. Who knows? Blah blah blah. But the big breaking news was that Patrick Graham was offered an extension and refused it. So we've been worried. Last season, the big worry was that Patrick Graham did so well with his defense, we'd lose him, as a head coach somewhere. That's not going to happen this season. He's not a serious head coaching candidate this season. But if he's turning down an extension, Soto, either he's playing hardball and wants to do it, want to test the open market first, or he wants out. And both make some sense. Both can be, I think it's 50-50 on which one it is.
I don't see why he would want out that bad though. I think it's more of a contract ploy because he knows that his position is pretty solidified there. I don't see him going to another situation and making his kind of resume for a head coaching job any stronger. I think he has the best chance with all those returning players coming back, plus the guys that he coached up and found this season on the defense, coming back next season and performing even better. I think he has a better chance of hanging his hat on that, leading into a head coaching job than going somewhere else and starting over.
Well, it obviously depends where he goes. You're thinking of just like Raiders too much. If there's like a really good,
he's not going to go to a situation that has a great defense if they just fired the defensive coordinator.
They are the defensive coordinator gets the head coaching job. I think that's what he was waiting for. I think he's going to wait and see if any of these really good defenses, the coordinators get promoted. Anywhere. I think if you're a top 10 defense and your defensive coordinator gets hired as a head coach somewhere, Patrick Graham is for sure on your short list. Top 3, because he's not getting a head coaching job for sure. Like he's probably the best defensive coordinator on a bad defense, I would say, in the NFL. And I think other coaches know that. So I'm hoping it's more of a negotiation ploy than my theory. But look, if I'm Patrick Graham and you know what you're capable of if you're Patrick Graham, the AFC West knows what you're capable of. No one else, it's the Raiders defense isn't putting the fear of God in any offensive coordinators. You're worried about your career, right? Like he's a smart guy, Ivy League dude. If you have a chance to go be the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, like you'd be stupid not to. So we'll see.
I mean, I think PG may be even a dark horse for head coach.
I don't see it. Maybe. I mean, even after last season when the defense was much better and had all those great stats in the last like 9 games of the season, he got like 1 or 2 like Rooney Rule interviews. He's never taken seriously. And the defense is worse this season. So I don't know. I doubt it, but which is good news for us, right? Hopefully we keep him, right? Like this was again, all this hypothesizing about next season, like it all comes down to how much Tom Brady wants to be involved. That's all, you know what I mean? It all comes down to like, all right, is it more of a mess? Is it another stopgap coach? Can we not get a quarterback? Or is Tom Brady going to come in and convince everybody we're building something and we're going to win? We're going to win some serious hardware. Just stick with me for another 3 seasons and I'll prove it to you.
Yeah, I think a lot of the hate that Telesco's been getting, the people that are hating aren't looking at how a GM looks at a team. We've said it. The head coaches think about 1 year. and GMs think about 3 to 5 years. And what we're seeing right now, and for a couple of different reasons, but regardless of the reasons, what we're seeing is we're starting to find those diamonds in the rough that were stashed in not only our roster but in other rosters behind other players that are legit players in the league. And that's how, like we talked about earlier, that's how you build depth. And with depth, you're able to maybe allocate money in different areas, and maybe not, you don't have to overpay for this guy because you don't know if you have anyone else on the team. You've seen other players who are playing really well on your team. So there's something to be said for having kind of like this reset year. And I just, it's going to be tough because I think us and the NFC North have just absolutely brutal teams and head coaches for us. And I think we're in a similar position than the Bears are, except they have their franchise quarterback. They're in a division with 3 other very, very, very good coaches and more stable quarterback situations and very good teams that are going to make the playoffs. So we got to figure that out, man. We got to figure that out because I do think overall we have a lot more talent than the Bears do, but just not the most important position.
They need a coach. Yeah, they need a coach as well. Yeah, you're spot fucking on about Telesco. I mean, he didn't come in and try to like patch everything up with a bunch of giant splash signings. He just signed one really good defensive player in Christian Wilkins, and that was and again, it was a 4-year deal. So it's like, that's what I always like. I say it all the time on this show because it irks me this much when analysts and media are like, I can't believe they signed this player. They're not one player away from winning a title. It's like, no shit. But you build a team one player at a time. You don't sign 17 dudes in one day. You don't build a championship roster in one fucking day. You build and you sign guys and you go, right? You do your best to draft. Like draft day is the day you get a whole bunch of dudes. Christian Wilkins 4-year deal. You didn't go crazy with a bunch of 1-year deals, $12 million to a running back, $10 million to a corner, $15 million to a linebacker. It's like, no, we're going to draft 4-year deal at a position of need that's going to be our strong position, right? How often does a guy like Christian Wilkins come onto the open market? We talked about it all the time. The only good reason to draft somebody who's on a free agent on an open market is he's out there because his team couldn't afford him. Right? He wasn't cut because he was getting old, wasn't cut because he was a locker room problem, wasn't cut because he was underrated, wasn't cut because he was a product of scheme. He was cut purely because the Dolphins had way too much payroll. And those are the guys you pick up. And he was when he was playing for those 4 games, Maxx Crosby had 3.5 sacks. Max had like 2.5 the rest of the season when he wasn't next to Christian Wilkins. Like that's his impact. And the defensive line is going to be the strength of this team. I don't care who we sign in any other position. Offense or defense, defensive line will be our position of strength next season. And that's how the rest of the defense is going to be built. So he made one big signing that was good and long-term, and then draft well. And then he'll sign a couple more this season and a couple more the season after that, because we just saw our one super chat. This isn't even all the free agents we got to worry about to resign. This isn't even all of them. But there's 5 guys where you're like, we really want to keep all of them if we can. And that's not even all of them. So, yeah.
Telesco and Brady definitely have their work cut out for them. They're going to be busy.
They got 110 in cap, the second most cap space in football, and the most draft capital in football. And they kept it because they got a lot of work to do with it. They didn't blow it because they had it. You know what I mean? You don't want to be like my wife at the mall with 2 glasses of wine in her, just like giving money everywhere, you know? You want to be like my greedy, cheap ass with just enough cash in my hand to get what I need. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. We want to make sure that we get these guys signed to good deals. And I think they're going to be good deals. I think that these guys understand, what's going on. I don't think any of these guys are, going to be heavy hitters type guys. But I think we're looking pretty good. There's a lot that needs to fall into place for next season, but I think we're in a pretty good situation, especially if we hit on this first pick, regardless of who it is. I mean, I don't know if it's too early to talk about this, but might want to keep an eye on Kansas City versus Denver next week. Denver still has something to play for, and Kansas City is going to play Carson Wentz at quarterback. So we'll see how he looks. He may get a lot of now that, you know, Darnold and Baker kind of went that route of, you know, disappointing player to good offensive coaching, good quarterback coaching, flourishing in another area. You have a Carson Wentz who was, I mean, probably one of the front runners for MVP before he got hurt, and then just kind of never really regained his momentum after that. So we'll see how he looks moving forward in this next game, because he might be another guy out there who is who I think is rated as a better player than any of these guys coming out of the draft as far as skill wise.
Yeah, it'll be weird because the Chiefs are going to rest their starters because they've got number 1 locked up, so they're not going to play anybody. So it'll be a weird kind of offense. So, but we can see what Carson can do with it, and I think he joins a long list of quarterbacks that we talked about during the main show earlier in the week. Like it's Shedeur, Cam, and Darnold are the only 3 we're like happy with. Like maybe you prefer one or the other, but I think all of Raider Nation can be like, if we got one of those 3 guys as our quarterback next season, like, okay, those are 3 realistic good guys that we can potentially have a future with. Outside of that, it's a bunch of also rans where you're rolling the dice. It's like, okay, well, maybe we'll get lucky and this guy will be the next Baker or something. But again, that's going to come down to head coaching, offensive coordinator, scheme, weapons, things we currently do not have. So
yeah, I mean, you also have to take a look at the decision making. I just don't see it where a former quarterback is not going to have an environment for a young quarterback to succeed. I just don't see it. I don't see that happening in that way.
So let's look at Shedeur and Cam. We talked about Cam just quickly, briefly. He played yesterday just for a half, looked amazing, and then sat out. Shedeur played all 4 quarters, got his shit pushed in by a bunch of corn-fed white boys from Utah. He got some garbage time stats in the 4th quarter, but Colorado looked awful. Do you think the draft order changed at all? Do you think anything moved around?
I don't think that this has any bearing on
who teams like.
No, I think it's going to be more so on how he tests out and stuff. I think he's going to have to do more now because of that poor game. He's not going to be like walking in there and be like, oh, well, I'm not going to throw it. You know, he's going to have to throw more and show that he can do it more consistently. But yeah, he didn't have a good game at all, man. He didn't have a good game at all.
Yeah, he looked like shit. And he didn't play a lot of great defenses over the course of this season. So maybe, BYU has good defense randomly. They never do, but they did this season. I still think Cam Ward has the higher ceiling and lower basement, while Shedeur's the most NFL ready. So, like, if you're going to ask me, hey, which one do you want? I think it would depend on who our head coach and offensive coordinator is. Like, if we have a guy that's just lights out, let's say Johnson comes to the Raiders, right? In our wettest of dreams, right? Like, oh, get Cam Ward. He'll coach him up. He'll make a scheme. He'll get the best out of everybody. If it's another another Luke Getsy where you're kind of like, oh, this was our 3rd choice, it's kind of the only guy we can get, then you might want a guy that's already coming in more complete, which would be Shedeur.
Well, I think that regardless of who you get, whether it's Darnold or Wentz or O'Connell or Cam or Shedeur or whoever, if you don't have that kind of triad fixed and figured out, head coach, OC, quarterback coach, if you don't have that figured out, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
You need to have that figured out, and that's going to be one of the more important decisions that's going to have to be made after Black Monday. Are you going to keep? Who are you going to keep? Who are you going to, it's the first domino to fall in a long line of very important, very tricky obstacle course of domino falls. And it just, I think that us as fans, and especially us as content creators, are putting a spotlight on the more important things than just, get a great quarterback. And then, you see a lot of these quarterbacks coming here and not doing well, and then go somewhere else and, maybe perform a little bit better. And it's because the environment that was set aside for them. And we're seeing it with a lot of not only retread quarterbacks like, Baker and Darnold most notably, but you also see Geno Smith out there doing his thing.
There's no better example of this than watching our former wide receivers kill it somewhere else. Like Mac Hollins, Amari Cooper. He had a touchdown today. Like, why? Because he's with the Bills. Like, that's what, you know what I mean? It's like, that's the best example, right? Like, we'll have receivers just kind of toil with us and then crush it somewhere else. It's like, they didn't just get better out of nowhere in a better environment, right? So luckily the draft is in April and we should have our new head coaching, our new coaching staff by like early February.
Someone made a point here that I want to address. Sammy77 says the biggest hole a team can have is the quarterback position. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. If you have a good head coach, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, you don't need that elite level quarterback to win games. You can have a good to very good kind of teetering back and forth quarterback that's going to be able to coach them up and put them in that position to be successful, not ask them to do a lot of things they can't do. Now, of course, would you be more successful more often? Would you be a more elite team per se if you had that higher level quarterback? Sure, but the foundation is still the same. The foundation is still the head coach, OC, quarterback coach combo to bring out the best in any one of those. Because you can have a better quarterback, but if you don't have that foundation there, that structure is not going to go as high, and that needs to be fixed first before we think about getting a different quarterback.
Yeah, man. Again, that's why it's nice the draft's in April and we should have our coaching staff wrapped up in February so we can be honest with ourselves with what we got. Be like, okay, we got a great system. Let's bring in, maybe we can make Carson Wentz work because we don't have a good a better quarterback that we can feasibly get, whether in the draft or in free agency. Or if it's another like kind of, we're just kind of like lukewarm on it. It's like, yeah, we better go all in on our quarterback because they're going to have to carry this offense more because the offensive coordinator isn't elite. So it's where you put your resources. Obviously, we want the best of everything, right? Let's get the best possible head coach, the best offensive coordinator, the best quarterback available. Attack them ruthlessly and aggressively. We have cap space. We have draft picks. Let's get the best of every fucking thing and keep our best guys. Let's do that. But also, if we do fall short on any of those things, let's be honest with ourselves and adjust accordingly. Again, you talked about Telesco getting all this unfair heat. It's like, you didn't sign Gardner Minshew because he thought he was going to be the savior. He's just like, all right, this is where we're at quarterback. This is where we're at as a team. Let's just get a guy here that's going to battle it out with Farva. And hey, maybe he's never been starter since day one. Maybe he can be better than what we've seen if given the opportunity. He clearly wasn't, but all right, it was one season, $10 million, 15. What was his guarantee? $15 million. We have $110 million available next season. Like, all right, we tried. Roll the dice. Got snake eyes. Okay. We didn't cost us anything any big deal next season would be like $7 million in dead cap, like pennies, Go
hey, fuck it.
What else? Anything else today? A lot of Jackson Powers Johnson love in the chat. I love like every one of you guys watching him just be a fucking wrecking ball out there. He really is like a toddler. He is like a 4-year-old boy at a birthday party that just wants to roughhouse.
Did you see him knock the shit out of the honey badger?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, dude. He flat backed his ass. And he's like, what did I do? Oh, it was perfect.
He's like he's like a kid that just got out of the bath that you're trying to like wrangle up and to get into bed.
Fucking
He's
peeing
just
everywhere, running
everywhere.
around.
But he has like, it looks like a baby kind of like a fat toddler build and the
Dude,
big head.
there
Fucking going.
are some fucking players that we can put on this interior offensive line. There are a few guards and combo center type guys, and there's some tackles that we can get we could kick inside that can just make us a beast of an offensive line. There's quite a few guys available that we can get in that 3 to 5 range, 3 to 5 round 3 to 5 range that would solidify this offensive line. I haven't been like breaking down tape, but I've been watching some tape on some of these guys. There's that dude from Purdue. There's a couple of guys from Georgia. There's that tackle from Oregon. These guys are beasts, man. These guys are beasts. There's quite a few guys that we can get in that 3, 4, 5 range. That if we play our cards right, we can get the kind of skill position guys early and just load up in the middle rounds on offensive line and come back next season and have a completely different offensive line. And there's just a ton of guys in that range that are in the same mold as a Jackson Powers Johnson. And these guys are big dudes who, like, we can have Jackson Powers Johnson at center and have 2'6" guards that are massive, that can move. There's quite a few guys, dude. There's that dude from West Virginia, I think. He's a tackle, but he can move into guard. A lot of these guys have good enough footwork where they can play anywhere. So I don't know if what was his name, Millen or something like that. I don't know if he's going to last until like the 3rd round, but man, there's gonna be quite a few of those guys that we can get in the middle rounds that can make a big difference for us at a huge area of need, which is offensive line.
Yeah, our roster's weird for a team with only 4 wins, right? For a team this bad, the roster isn't that terrible. Like there's only places I consider like rooms where there's holes, like the obvious, right? Like quarterback, running back, and then guard. Other than that, like we can improve everywhere, but there's not a hole at safety. There's not really like holes at cornerback. Jack Jones has kind of come down to earth a little bit, but he still has like the 3rd most passes broken up this season out of anybody. He's boom or bust, but is he a hole? There's no holes at linebacker, no holes at defensive tackle. We could use a wide receiver 1, but Jacoby could be a low end wide receiver 1. Like it's just like if we can get quarterback, like if we go like quarterback in free agency, that Boise State running back in like round 1, if we end up picking like 12th or something, if we win again, which might happen. And then we just go like interior guard 3, 4, and then depth after that. That's a solid roster. Like that's a really, really solid roster.
For sure, man. I mean, look, where we're sitting right now, BPA is just going to be the name of the game. Because I don't think there's any player on our team or there's any position that we can't add a strong player to.
Really not tight end, and that's basically it.
I mean, do we have to line up Brock Bowers at tight end? We just move anywhere we want.
Yeah.
Well, there's not a tight end that's going to be high in this draft anyway. But I mean, dude, that guy from freaking McMillan, the guy from Arizona, he's as big as a tight end. Goddamn. Mm-hmm. Dude's like the second coming of freaking Megatron.
I would say, what do you think's the 4th? So quarterback clearly number 1, biggest hole. Running back clearly number 2. Guard number 3. What's number 4? Wide receiver?
Yeah, probably wide receiver. It's all on the offensive side. All the major ones, at least. Mm-hmm. We have depth in on the defensive side, even if because we just had so many injuries defensively. That was supposed to be the strength of our team, but we did find it. We probably could use a little bit more depth in the secondary after Merrick and Polomau. There's not really much there. Epps is they're all free agents. Epps, Polomau, Merrick, they're all going to be free agents next season. So we got to bring a lot of those guys back. Linebacker, I think both of those guys are going to be free agents now, if I'm not mistaken.
Spillane for sure.
Spillane and Diablo, I think, both. So there's a lot of we got a lot of guys. This defense could look a lot similar or it could look a lot different next season. But I mean, if we do if we end up with the 8th pick, let's just say, I with some of the defensive guys that are slated to go up high, we can definitely get McMillan at 8. That freaking stud, everything. Basically, he's a taller, faster Brock Bowers type at wide receiver. So we're gonna have two guys, two matchup nightmares on this team. Excellent pass catchers, and we hopefully like a Caleb Johnson slips to us in the 2nd round. The running back out of Iowa, one of my good buddies. He's actually a childhood friend of my cousin that I go to the SC games with. He went to Iowa, so we watch a lot of the Iowa games when we go to games together and stuff. And this kid's amazing, man. Caleb Johnson, I think his name is. He's a freaking stud. If we can pick him up in the 2nd round, that would be amazing. That would be that 1-2 combo, McMillan Johnson. Ugh, that would automatically turn around an offense. Those two guys are just studs. What do you guys think in the comments? What do you guys think about that 1st, 2nd round pick? Caleb Johnson in the 2nd round, McMillan in the 1st round.
A lot of McMillan love. A lot of McMillan love for sure. They're talking about how much depth there is at running back too.
Easy box. Freaking Amarian Hampton is not going to make it into the 2nd round, dude. That North Carolina running back, he's not going to make it to the 2nd round. He's freaking legit.
All right, we've done an hour. Raiders win/lose.
Nope, we didn't lose.
25-10.
Nope.
Could be number 3 with a loss. We dropped to number 8. A lot of guys look good today. Really good game by Farva. Amazing game by Amir Abdullah. Carlson was perfect. Oh, he had an extra point blocked. How much you want to count that on him? Bowers shattered records. 2 takeaways, no giveaways. Phenomenal on 3rd down. On both sides of the ball, we were 10-17 on offense. Saints did not convert a 3rd down until like 2 minutes left. It was garbage time before they finally converted. I mean, it's a bad Saints team for sure. Their offense was terrible. Defense ain't bad. They've got some talent on defense. It's just old. It's just an old defense, but there was some talent there. So some things to be proud of. Oh, super chat. Oma. We need to load up on defense. What carries a team without a quarterback is a great D, she said. I would draft defensive tackle Mason Graham because Weekends is pushing 30 and cornerback 2.
I mean, I don't know if Graham is going to make it to 8, dude. Graham's going to be a top 5 pick probably. Him and Abdullah are probably going to be the first defensive lineman off the board, I think. And you have the 2 quarterbacks, the 2 corners, and the 2 defensive linemen. That's 6 players right there. Yeah. Will Johnson's not going to make it to 80 either.
So non-quarterback, quarterback. So what do you think? Probably Travis Hunter, quarterback, right? 1, 2, 3. Yes, no. Is this thing on?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a combination. If it stays like this, that's so fucking small, dude. That's what she said. Yeah. So Hunter will go 1 in this scenario because they need playmakers, and he's a playmaker on both sides of the ball, and they need playmakers on both sides of the ball. So he would go 1 in this scenario. Tennessee is tired of Levis, so it's gonna go Hunter, quarterback. Cleveland may go Abdul, depending on what happens with Myles Garrett. Jacksonville just needs a playmaker. They can go corner, they can go defensive line. The Jets might take McMillan because Wilson is not very happy with the Jets. He might force a trade out there.
Jets might blow up the entire offense. Right? Like Aaron Rodgers, let's say Rodgers retired. They blow up the whole offense.
If your buddy Karen Rodgers still drags his feet and hums and haws, I think they might let everyone go that he wanted in there.
100% they will.
Not give him any incentive to come back and just be like, look, you're not excused from anything. You got to show up every single day or you're going to be fined. If you're going to play, you're going to play under these rules. And that's the issue that I think happened with the Jets is they let him do his own thing a little bit too much. And he's Karen Rodgers, dude. He's a freaking idiot. He's gonna say it. He's gonna be a hypocrite and do all the other nonsense. True Raider, God damn it, you've not said a truer thing.
So there should be the Raiders GM eye roll. I don't know if
I sensed the sarcasm there with your eye roll, but whatever.
You got all excited until you put your glasses on. You're
He
like,
said,
wait, sarcastic. Fuck you.
No. I saw the whole thing. I mean, it just, I wanted to pump myself up.
All right. Raiders win. Good team win. 25-10 over Saints. Didn't get our Derek Carr revenge game. Whatever. Jackson Powers Johnson, we love you. You're awesome. Brock Bowers, congratulations on rewriting the history books. Amir Abdullah.
Brock Bowers is a stud.
10 years in the league. Finally got your 100-yard game. Congrats. You earned it the hard way. You stuck it out and earned it. Props to you. Daniel Carlson, you're still the best. Defense, thank you for the depth. And then we'll do our show on how do you want to do the show on New Year's? Regular? Record it Wednesday like normal?
Thanks for the memories.
What do you want to do Wednesday?
Oh, that's New Year's Day, bro.
I know. So
I don't know if I can do
asking.
that.
Let's do it really.
You want to do Thursday the same we did last week? Or do you travel?
I don't. I'm still on vacation for another week, dude. I have zero.
Oh, let's do the live on Thursday again.
Do you work on Thursday?
I do work on Thursday, but
So,
we can do it at the same time.
Thursday at 4:30.
Yeah. Okay, guys, check this out.
Like your speaker's dying.
Hang on. From now on, we're going to have a special menu on live shows. So
you want to do it every show?
Yeah, why not?
Is it from now on? I guess
live shows. Live shows.
Okay.
I'll do something strange for a piece of change. So we'll have the menu up. Follow us on our socials for the menu. I think it'll be pretty funny to watch RJ and I get completely obliterated for money.
We'll leave you with that. We'll talk to you guys Wednesday or Thursday. And then until then, knock on wood if you're with me.